We should be live, hopefully. All right. 3.14 feedback form is 16 responses. Not as many as I was expecting. That's all right. It's a bit of a weird one, kind of off the books, but we do have some things to go over. Overall experience, pretty decent on aggregate. Got a few notable exceptions.
Puzzled. I'm getting a little bit of static when you're talking.
That's a fan.
It's
Okay.
fine.
Okay.
Just
Just
keep
letting
going.
you know.
There shouldn't be any static. Huh.
It's not the static, it's the fan.
Oh.
Fan.
Oh, that's mildly annoying. Whatever.
I think it went away. Keep talking.
I'm going to keep
Carrying
talking.
on.
So, about half and half on just writing too long. I would think it's too long, just because I had a few restarts, unfortunately, from some rather esoteric crashes, which I've already tracked down.
No,
Okay.
I mean,
So, weapon feedback for TI Industries Starcore Edition, controlled currently by Nathaniel, or Bad Modder. Looking pretty good across the board. Peacemakers, guided rocket turrets, about the same level of contentious. I think they're fine, but we'll see how it looks. The apes looking pretty good too, as long, or rather, as well as the trident. Saves power draw, making it the worst PD for several tourneys in a row. Please don't change it. I need a bad PD to use. I totally won't use the revamped laser for PD. Super swear.
You told me I can't change it.
And Dorothians typed his post.
Yeah, I'll look into that. Tridents are a fantastic weapon, balanced damage, good HP and tracking, although I find the reload to be a pain in the ass. However, I also believe that it's a fair trade-off for a weapon that literally spams the server with missiles. Pretty much. Overall balanced. Type 21 setup aren't up there, but I'd like to say that from my experience, they're also worthwhile and very well balanced. Not a great deal of shield damage, but the continuous fire and such is pretty good. For 400 points, say it's a nice spot. Good to see. Kind of bum tourney to look at a weapon balance outside the most extreme cases with the 70k versus 70k. It's fine. Apes use too much power, tridents are fine, 18s are fine, everything else needs some love. Preferably qualify this statement, but we'll get back to it.
I mean, everything else is pretty top tier.
Trident's performance has been a tad lackluster for their point cost. Do they hurt? Yes, but it's highly counteracted by their slow speed. Are they durable? Kinda, but its huge size means it takes too much damage from AoE. Are they reliable? Not really on their own. They need to be accompanied by White Grims to even guarantee hits.
I would like to can I say something here?
I'm debating on whether or not they should just be annihilated from this plane of existence, but yeah, go ahead.
No. Tridents are really slow, and we saw that in the stream. People can actually run away from them, which is good. It's a reloadable missile. Sure, it spams missiles a bunch, but you can outpace the missile. So that's kind of the give and take we have here. You can take faster missiles like LRMs, and they're really cheap. You can take a lot of them. However, once they're gone, they're gone.
Yep. It's also worth noting that missiles in the air aren't done until they're done. So you're denying an area for the enemy to fly back through. So
yeah, you're forcing them away from you as they have to run away from the missile. And it can create some interesting stuff.
Bit of a stealth addition here after the increase the AMS apes damage. We'll consider that later. Bit of a stealth addition at the last second was Vanilla Weapons 2.0, where Invalid went through and decursed all of the vanilla weapons. There wasn't a bunch of fanfare set up about it, so I'm not expecting to see a lot of feedback on it. Mostly stuff like, wait, what? This is a thing? Why, though? Why not? Have a tested story? Well, they're going to be pretty much the same way Nate left them, as they were cloned from his original pack. Don't care for these anymore. A lot of these weapons are costing 250 BP for close-range turrets that are too fragile. A lot of these weapons seem to use the old 125 to 175 BP stats, the old vanilla turrets, but all cost 250 now. I will pass on using most of these unless they're double-barreled veneer when. Guided Rocket Turret 2.0 is still cracked though. Very undervalued in the current meta. Vanilla Missile 1.0, 3.3x3 bounded by still seems to be placeable, by the way. That should have been corrected by now, but I'll write that down. Give me a sec. Probably just an oversight. We're gonna script. No. Come on. There we go. Hands are slightly cold. There we go. Okay. North Heavy Industries. Pretty great across the board. Thumper being the odd man out here, along with the Fenrir fixed and the Jotun fixed. Hurricane also looking on the weaker side. Battleship cannons contentious as always, but more red than yellow. That's good.
It's fine. It's literally fine. There's nothing wrong with the hurricane. Please.
I'm once again petitioning you for the sake of frost giants everywhere to liberate them from the shackles of power overdraw tyranny under which they currently labor. Also, extend Fenrir range to 4.5 kilometers. Unsure with the battleship cannons. They're rather costly and large, hard to fit them, and haven't tested them. Same with the Hurricane. We'll give feedback next time, hopefully. Thank you for the feedback. Did anyone use the Mark II battleship cannons? Okay, so I don't know why I
There
need
it
to keep
is again.
repeating that, but just because a weapon wasn't brought doesn't mean it needs to be massively buffed or changed or anything. Buffs and changes should be made on a basis of something. Hurricanes are interesting. Rate of fire is slow. Buff, please. Well, having actually used Hurricanes, not sure if I agree with that.
It's a turreted Tempest, according to Jet.
Gun gear needs some accuracy love. So when you say accuracy, that's not what you actually mean. It's a combination of issues, but the weapon itself is, well, not inaccurate as far as guns go. Could be a lot worse, such as the GT1 rails, which had a comedically massive dispersion. Hurricane is still the butt end of damage yoke for their point cost at the moment. Might want to consider giving it a buffs to make it competitive, either increase projectile speed or actual shield damage. What a fantastic piece of feedback. MA weapons. Slinger, pretty good. Tiger, pretty good. That's lovely to see. Been a while.
These are some of the highest just right bars we've seen so far, I think.
Yeah, Gladius dipping into 2 strong now.
Yo.
Also 2 weak, lol.
Yeah, these three didn't even function because memes.
Yeah, there was some laser PD that didn't function because of one funny bull that was part of a depreciated feature of Weapon Core that is extremely confusing in how it's named, which was, I think it was locked smart only or something. And what that refers to was a point in Weapon Core's history where to actually fire a smart weapon at somebody, you needed to hit numpad 0. I don't know why this was decided, but that's how it was, and it was removed.
A few assumptions, and then
I
only
remember
tested the
those
tier
days.
2 to make sure the tier 2 worked.
So there you go.
Whoops.
Point defense turret looking just right. I saw them working pretty well, actually. T1 PDX just right, says the people who didn't use it.
Or it
T3
could've been
fixed.
After, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not actually sure what the timeline on that exactly was, but there was an issue identified and it was corrected.
Currently, it's working just fine on combat. They're quite good point defense for all those people listening.
We'll see how that goes. So T4 and T3 fixed lasers doing pretty good. Derecho 2 weak as always. Are the laser MS? Yep. Already been over that. Tiger's based. Imagine using a Gladius. Really, really awesome feedback. Once again, asking for Derecho buffs and the Gladius to drop to 350 points. As far as the Derecho buffs go, we, again, have to be extremely careful with those, as mass spam of those will cause performance drops. Or the weapon visuals need to change. That's just how it is. Unsure on the PDX ones or gimbals. Need to test them more. They seem effective. Just didn't run them this time. Well, no, they're working now. One day Dark Star will answer for crimes. I'm not sure if I believe that. Buff Derechos, remove PDX2s, remove T1 gimbals, buff PDTs to consistency.
I don't even know why we brought back PDX-T2, but
Sexiest gun award.
They
So-
were requested and they work fine.
Previously, adding new weapons is CBT. However, we have Git now, and it's more manageable. So
It is
it's
now
less work to just unrestrict stuff.
not a single point of failure, which was me, where if I whoopsied one line somewhere at any point, I would need to catch it and then push it the hard way. And now it's really easy, so we can be a lot more dynamic with that, quote unquote. After the laser changes, testing shows the Gladius do too much armor damage when you bring 6 of them.
Sir,
The Gladius does too much armor damage when you bring 6 of them.
Uh,
T1's straight up not working. That's, yep, we're on board. T2s are nice. Need 4v4s to see their balance or not. I agree. T3 fixes fun. Once again, yep, I agree. T4 is spice again. They seemed fine to me. Didn't see any brought this TT. I'm pretty sure we did. I forget exactly what ship it was on, but I've probably remember it. I might be wrong now. Tiger's actually working. Whatever you did, Muzzled, all I could say is thank you. Well, this is actually Nate's responsibility now. Helping out Otto with keeping on top of things.
I increased it by 1 degree.
Pretty
Forgive
good.
me.
By Allah, you shall taste my shoe.
The Derico can shoot through grids when it's on painter mode.
Excuse me?
Write that down, I guess.
Waiting room chat.
Alright, let me write that down.
Finally, the Derico buff we needed.
Okay, I will look into that. Because that's a need to know bit of information. Thank you.
yeah.
Ark's
if you
weapon.
got
Oh yeah, go ahead.
something like that. If someone's got something like that, to make sure we don't miss it, because we might have missed it if the chat's going really fast, please drop a ping.
I did, don't worry.
Thank you. Ark's weapons, Industries, Muzmod. Here we go. Punishers, pretty good. Too strong, too weak, who knows? Magnetar, pretty much perfect. Artemis, pretty much perfect. Tempest, contentious as always. Focus Beam, pretty good. Hunter, pretty much perfect. Ares, edging on too strong with 1 vote. Helios, in a pretty good position. Doppler, might need a buff. Might need to think about it. The Apollo, I think was a late addition.
This is my
Two-
favorite right here.
This one.
Oh,
How did you manage that?
It's
I-
one of each reaction. Amazing.
I added
Yeah.
it like a day after.
Oh yeah, that'd be it.
I'll do it.
Anyway, for as far as anyone needs to know, the Apollo
That's fine.
is effectively just an Artemis using the repeating ammo. It's a turreted Artemis. That's it. God, what a satisfyingly balanced pact. Sounds good. Seems balanced. Pretty base. Pretty good. Tempest, to my experience, are easily to shoot down, only effective in larger number, as you would battleship cannons or Type 18s. You run a multitude to at least have half, maybe hit. You need more shots to hit. Albeit at close range, they're easy to operate for full effective damage. I feel it's a rather difficult situation, but by my perspective, you buff them, they become broken, you leave them as they are, people complain. Well, people have always complained about the Tempest. Add an extra 1,000 meters per second, it's hard to aim. Give it more damage, you know. It's just a contentious weapon, that's just the way it is. It merely could be that we do not have yet implemented the correct strategy or use for these weapons yet. Yeah, that could be it. Punisher look good, I agree. Where are the Apollo turrets? My impression for them is too weak, for what it's worth. Oh, right there. Okay, we'll mark 1 on too weak. Ares, cool. Everything else should be considered for a love tap. Please qualify your statements when you make them like this.
Which way, up or down?
This doesn't mean anything. Punisher, well, not bad or not worth the 200 BP cost when compared to the similar range weapons.
Really?
I'm not sure if I got that impression.
I remember Preston's ship just being melted.
And seems to be the majority vote is that they're fine, so we'll see. Tempest OP now. Magnetar OP now. Helios, you're cool. Focus memes OP, but that's just my opinion, bro. That's everything written here is your opinion. Apollo seems okay. Sus, Amogus. Can I get whoever wrote this comment banned from my plane of reality? Entirely for this. Thank you. Serpent Arms. Got the Erebus. Pretty good. That's lovely to see. The Asterius slipping off to be a little too weak. The Sylvius looking pretty good. Sharon, all around loved. Ish. Cerberus, but the same ish as the Sylvius. The Somnus, but the same. Hydra, little too
Somnus,
strong.
I sleep.
Damn it. A little too weak, a little too strong, who knows? I'm surprised. Oh yeah, there it is. Where's the more
Yeah,
too strong for Grimstop? Yeah, there it is.
I specifically broke it out because I didn't want people I wanted to have a clear distinction between the missile that does the damage and the missile that blenders.
Yeah. We'll talk about the blender in a bit. Hellfire laser looking a little too weak. A little too strong, a little just
not
right, not
sure.
sure. Well, brand new weapon. It's still more or less in development, but it's just a
Great
laser that
boy.
goes burr.
Yeah.
Grimlock,
Keep
Grimstop,
the-
cool as fuck. Keep the what?
Keep the 666 point cost. It's funny.
No.
Cool as fuck.
Yeah,
If
see.
anything, slightly oppressive. Slightly oppressive. Do I need to pull up the clip of Big Rig turning into a distant memory behind a cloud of parts? People need to remember 2 million, and a single missile could be a whole lot worse. Yeah, it could be a whole lot worse. It could just crash the game, but that's not an argument. I would personally say increase BP and then tune the gun itself after BP tuning. I'm going to go in the other direction and say that the gun itself, or rather the Grimstop effect itself, should be perfected and then consider the balance. Going the other direction seems pretty backwards. Imagine a world in which people brought Hydras and managed to do more than scratch the enemy's paint. Oh, but I gave them an armor damage they were missing, you might say. But that was never what they were missing. Points a Hydra at someone's head and pulls the trigger. As you can see, the skull or armor has been removed, but the fleshy brains underneath are unscathed because the Hydra paradoxically does no component damage, even ludicrously short distances. Well, don't worry, because just to spite Enderoth and to see what else he would bitch about next, I buffed their component damage by double.
We don't negotiate with terrorists.
I spite Terrace. Grimlocks are perfectly balanced. It only took like 8 matches for people to figure out not to sit next to their teammates. Granted, you did all have the opportunity to witness people getting blendered.
Mm.
But I acknowledge that you don't always have the exact distance from your own teammates, and ideally the weapon core radar would have assisted with that, but I removed it as a precaution just in case it was causing lag issues. I have no reason to suspect it is, but I do know that the feature that it was supposed to have of defaulting off did not work at all, which is unfortunate. I'll talk with BD on that and see what I can do about it.
Yeah.
Visual buffs and maybe a bit more counterplay. Counterplay from the PD side is really all that's needed. Visual buffs on the projectile moving, I agree with. A bit more counterplay from PD. I'm not too sure how to even go about doing this, but my main concern is the obliterate a ship with one hit in some cases. In other cases, it does nothing, right? And that's kind of the problem, the consistency of what's happening. So if it was doing the full blender thing, that could be tuned to do the full blender thing, like the other bit of feedback was of tuning the BP. But it doesn't always do that, and that's the problem. So consistency is king, then we can figure out where it sits balance. Let me just do a quick reading here. Spam my blink drive, turn on the demo, hope for the best, speaks for themselves. Damage is perfection incarnate on the Grimlock itself, the armor-piercing one. They core out smaller grid with ease, move at tremendous speed, are 100% accurate against heavier grids and shields. They're less effective, but are still worthwhile. In a number game of 8v8, personally use the Grimstop round as far as you throw multiple ships into a blender and hope for the best. In a traditional 4v4, however, feel that the damage round might prove to be more effective. Less targets result in more awareness, making it much harder to implement the strategy. Erebus have either got the wrong numbers on the dossier or they do not deal the damage that is registered, because they most definitely do not deal 134,000 shield DPS. They don't. They have a max absorb of 5,000, 7,000, somewhere in there. What that means is that it has this or greater amount of damage to spend, and it can only spend a fixed amount of damage per block before moving on to the next one in a very controllable manner. So this is why I say the Daka dossier is supplemental, not something you should be using as a direct guide.
In at Max Absorb's case, it would do 1 block worth of damage to shields, or its maximum absorb to shields if it hits shields, which is shoot.
It does have the AoE fragments come off it, so it's not quite only
Yeah.
whatever the max absorb is, but it's not going to be, you know, a billion shield damage per shot. That's going to be a little confusing on that.
About it.
With Tumor and Ash have abandoned Asterius, time for a buff, 275 points, or raise the velocity. Lower the radius on the Grims, make them bright green like the old Grims and old Grim 2s. That's halfway decent ideas. So, as for the Asterius, the long-range spam gun, as ever, I'm not very keen on buffing it, as long-range spam guns tend to be the meta. Because if you can just keep a constant fire hose of damage on the enemy at almost any range with fast projectiles, that's just a problem waiting to happen. But I'll take a look into it and see what I can do. Somehow an E-War missile was the most destructive thing in the field. I know it's going to be changed, but I think the concept is a good idea. It also suggests making its particle very noticeable. I agree. Its damage ammo when compared to the E-War effect is, why do we have a damage option? Well, it's for the people who actually used it. Let's see. Never seen a weapon that scales off of trash collection settings. Fair enough. Nerf Grim. Grim make me ram other men and makes other men ram me. Help. I think Toomer wrote this one.
Ram Ranch.
It's under siege. The Grimlocks and the Grimstops are an odd cat in the bag. Excuse me. Grimlocks basically are focused Cocytus that will get a ship in a straight line if the shields are down, but lackluster performance if it is slammed into a shield. That said, it's also pretty hard to hit with PDs. The Grimstop is the elephant in the room, I imagine, with its gravitational force way overcooked to the point where it's just not stopping ship, but acting more like a black hole missile that summon Clang on demand if you manage to hit a cluster of ships. Yes, that is the problem that I will be attacking personally, even if I do have to learn how to use Darkstar's Phantoms system, which, well, I'm sure ChatGPT can explain that to me. Effectively, the ability to, instead of hit something with an E-War where you turn off blocks, you hit something with a script that you're right, and it does what you're right in the script.
Oh,
But
good.
you have to write it, specifically. Hopefully I can get that to work. If not, I'll come up with another solution involving turning off gyros and thrusters and, I'll come up with something. Everyone here is trying to secretly buff the Asterios to the moat. Secretly is a strong word. Y'all are crazy and need to stop. It's fine gun as is, its general purpose, and not bad at anything. Hell, it outperforms most of the TIO and Chet stuff in testing. Keep funny, relatable Grim stop Blender. We need about 5 more clips of Tumor evaporating for the algorithm, but also ignore all Enderoth posts. He's just trying to trigger people. Powerful statement. Over to Recore. Monopole, sitting with just right and a little bit too strong, actually. Surprising. Short range missiles, a little bit too weak on things in general because the 1 or 2 reloads that they were supposed to get last time was not correctly implemented. By the time I caught it, it was a bit too late and I was distracted with something else. My bad. Fortunately, this tournament was not on the books, so that's all right. Medium range missiles will be going through a total overhaul to make them into something completely different. The flower blossom effect that shoots around behind a ship is interesting, pretty, but it's just not working. So I'm going to come up with something else that works a lot better. A lot more consistently in any case. Speaking of more consistent, long range missiles, just right. Quite a bit of that. A little bit too weak maybe. That's okay. Arrows, pretty much the same, split on too weak and just right. Arrows are another one where they can be a little bit inconsistent in how well they work, and I believe this might be related to the flares or the decoys for the PD to shoot at first, and sometimes there's some visual mismatch here and there with the normal desync, so I'll look into that and see what I can do about it if I have the time, but otherwise they seem to be doing fine. Reloads. 2, there we go. Medium laser and large laser, pretty much the same weapon. A little bit too weak, a little bit just right. They could be tuned in a bit, and probably actually going to make them work a bit more like how the Hellfire laser does, where you hold down the click and it goes burr until it overheats, but you can stop clicking and then it stops going burr, and then you can click again, because I think that's a pretty cool feature.
They were going to recommend we put the Hellfire to it does a burst instead of being able to just click it on and off.
Nah,
Which is ironic, all things considered.
I'm not sure if that's what irony means, but the Painless doing pretty good. UNN and MCRN pretty great. With the RWR just right. No, needs a buff. Not strong enough yet. Not sure 6 of them. That is concerning because the RWR, I've tried to make it as basic as possible as a box that screams at you if it sees a missile. If that's not clear, let me know. Continuing to offer SRMs and MRMs your love and support in these trying times. I'm working on it. Painless continue to be the most based AMS. Well, hold that dial because its bigger brother, the Baneless, will be in the next tournament.
Neat.
Bane. You don't get spring friends.
If I put you in a ball turret, would you die? Do arrows need a bit of a buff now that Cocytus has reloads? That's one theory. I've been thinking about the the relationship versus Cactus, and yeah, maybe.
The RWR does 0 damage per point.
Yeah, I would hope so. All the missiles in the pack seem underwhelming compared to the Tartarus. Well, that means the Tartarus is where it needs to be, and all of my missiles need to be brought up to modern spec. I've been kind of letting them languish for a while when I'm working on other stuff, so I just need to come back and give them another pass. But the MCRMs are great, and the MRMs are weak as ever. There's occasional static hissing from the stereo pole. It's not just the stereo pole, it's going to be pretty much any weapon that just fails to update its sound thread for any reason, including you joined the game wrong, you're wearing green, a cosmic particle hit your hard drive, God knows. I've been trying to chase that sound bug down for a long time, and it seems to have nothing to do with the sound settings in the SPC part of the mod that describe how the sound's supposed to work, what volume it is, what range it is, and so on. I think there's a few settings that cause it, but they cause it consistently. It's not like it goes on and off. Absolute cringe, buff STS core missile. No, STS core medium and large lasers. That'll be rolled into the hold it down to go burr. Painless is basically just a better priest, but definitely not worth close to 3 priests worth of BP, as 3 priests spread out properly will perform the painless plus have a better durability. You'll note that painless is a lot smaller. And lighter.
A lot smaller.
Yeah. LRMs continue to be one of the strongest missiles on the board. Those that market as too weak clearly do not test. Come on, guys. There's an IDK form for a reason. I prefer people not use the IDK column, because what this means is you either don't care or you have absolutely no idea. The bigger this bar is, the more of a failure in policy it's been. And the SRM and MRM being top of the board there of, oops. So the smaller this is, the happier I am. Starcore Experimental and Special Mods got the Blink Drive and Arc Emitter. Blink Drive looking pretty good. Arc Emitter looking also pretty good. Imagine using your magical teleport device to not get your shit pushed in by missile-generated singularity. Imagine having a button that could save you right there on your hotbar.
That is a incorrect argument.
That is a very interesting argument.
Blink's not rubber banding was a nice change. Probably we'll see a lot more if Cribs say the same. They won't. Arc Emitter is pretty base as well. Yeah. Arc Emitter are easy to spam for the small amount of points and deal very high amount of damage. The energy consumption is pretty decent to prevent too much spam. Still, I can see somebody running 20 of these things and abusing them. I have tried to use 20 of these things on a shitpost build of the Great Filter, and what I can say is nah. Just, if you bring 20 of these things, you're not going to have a great time. They deal a lot of damage to everything. Perhaps rather than nerfing the point or point increase, you could add a limit to them. Obviously, the point is not to make that necessary. Otherwise, maybe try to increase the points by 10 to 20 or climbing point costs. I don't know. I reckon might be wrong. People won't abuse them, or that they deal far less damage than you think. Well, we could just leave them be for another tournament and observe. White Grims make Arc Emitters absurdly risky play, do extreme damage, or merge with your foe. I agree. Mod script that puts you in spectator 1 kilometer from your character, then force presses control space over the span of 10 milliseconds.
Use your Blink Drive, bro.
Once again, ignore
Oh
all
shit, that would be a
Enroute
blink
posts.
drive.
Yeah, that's what a blink drive does. Well, not quite. It does actually do some extra calculations on top, and I have been planning on kind of poke around inside of it to see if I can make it work out a little bit better to get rid of the rubber banding, but I did accidentally manage to fix the rubber banding.
J-Nick, why would you post this?
You might remember that the rubber banding suddenly started happening for no reason right around the time that asteroids got added. Well, it turns out if asteroids are set to rotate, blink drives rubber band.
Really?
Yes.
Holy shit.
Even if there is 0 asteroids on the field, if that rule is set to true in the asteroid generator SPC, rubber band. Why? I don't know why.
God.
I have no fucking idea why, and I don't want to know why. Moving on.
Valid say the thing.
Hate. Let me
Yeah.
tell you about hate.
Yay! Starcore Warhammer 40k, part of Darth's oncoming mod pack, and going to include all sorts of stuff that we saw originally in the exhibition, but tuned in and set up over time. Nova Canon was pretty late edition. So not really surprised by the not sure, but it is there for testing
I
as we move
am
forward.
currently been testing a lot lately, and I think it's very fun, very practical, but you're not going to hit anything unless it's within 3 kilometers. So it's not really a space artillery gun, it's just more of a blunderbuss.
All right. Well, look into
How would
doing some
you-
sort of speed buff then. That should be fun.
Very on, it's very good when it does hit. Like,
Yeah.
people will feel it. You're not going to kill anyone anytime soon, but people will feel it.
Yeah, I think just a little bit of a tap on the speed there. Just a little bit more should be fine if they are really struggling to be effective any greater than 3 kilometers. Massive.
I was
I mean,
planning
I
on
am
it.
hitting
Right now
people,
it's
just...
Yeah.
right now it's only just faster than like the PPC and Tempest. I was planning on bumping it up a little bit.
Yep. So you're already on board there.
Yep. I've got some
Alright.
changes locked and loaded. I just was waiting until today. After this. Let's see if other people had thoughts.
This was in, bro. These new guns getting stuffed in the closet to chill at the Hydra right off the bat. Cringe. So that's actually part of the plan here, where we add them in, and if people are looking for it and they see it, they can bring it, but not really massively advertise it. So if there is a problem, we don't lose a whole tournament to it. Ideally. But that's not going to happen with the next tournament. It was done for this tournament because it was going to be off the books. Actually need to make use of this as space artillery. You can safely add all of the 40k weapons at like 500 points each if you want to be lazy, and they'll be fine. I'm probably closer to agreeing with this than I am disagreeing, but nothing should be added without actually, you know, carefully testing it.
I think they're all pretty good on points aside from the drones probably needing a climbing cost, and that's about it.
Yeah. Does anyone else hear like a...
Yeah, that's coming from Tibbs, I think.
Hey Tibbs, you alright there, buddy?
Stroked.
Is he asleep?
That would be hilarious.
Well,
He's done that
alright.
before.
We have Tibbs ASMR, so we'll be good. We're gonna be
Is
okay.
Is there a TeamSpeak poke feature for Discord somewhere?
Nope.
Oh,
You just
call. Hold on.
He is sleeping.
The call that saved the world.
Should we keep
Anyway.
AFK?
Nah, it's
What?
fine.
Nope, we had the
There he is. Hey, buddy, how you doing?
Hey, he's alive.
You awake?
No, Balans,
Reduced
pick
to
him up.
atoms.
Frank?
Hey, buddy.
God damn it! What?
You awake?
I don't know. Was I?
No, you were not.
No.
You were giving us a light melody of me 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 me
Look,
me.
man.
It's all good if you want to take a nap.
Oh, I'm awake.
All
I'm
right.
here for it.
Back to
Sorry.
Starcore Heavy Assault here. The Nyx, pretty great. Mammon, also pretty great. Thanatos, uh-oh. We'll need to look into that. Personally, I think the visual effects are what it needs, much like the Punisher, which didn't really get that changed. Vulcan, looking pretty great. Flares, looking pretty great. Tartarus, Cockatus, pretty much the same as, well, they are pretty similar conceptually. A little bit too strong, not bad. Tigtone, weaker side, but I have some ideas. Was fun. Watching Bryce fly around on a block of thrusters and reactors was something fun to see as part of my team. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Shotgun, re-shotgun. Thanatos, 15 kilometer sniper seeker, gyrojet, bullets, still not good enough. Everything else is quite based. Thanatos could stand to be a little more epic sauce. I'm going to take that as it needs more sauce, and I agree. I think the Thanatos needs a bit more sauce. I feel the Thanatos have too slow of a rate of fire for a 350-point gimbaled gun, just by a fraction though, nothing too serious, not running them simply because of my ship design, just adding an opinion. I think it's mostly just the effects. They need more of a, tasty. Because right now, it doesn't really feel like a massive battleship cannon going off. Sounds like one, but needs to look like one too. I'll work on it. Nyx doesn't seem to do much for me, but maybe because we couldn't get shields down on anyone. It is an anti-armor laser, not an anti-shield. For that, bring, I don't know, Gladius. Cool pack, buff, rework please. Everything here besides the Tigtine and Vulcan feels old and needs some love. Burst, firing, Thanatos. Thanatos. I think the visuals on a few things could be improved for sure. Suggestion, now that the Crocodus launcher has one reload, perhaps dial back the missile HP. I did not see one Croc get shot down in the melee. I know that their health was doubled from before, perhaps a happy new number somewhere between their old HP and their current HP. Everything here works and is worth bringing. Wiseman can't keep getting away with this. That's an interesting thought. I'll think about it.
So, I did some well, I observed while Squishy did some PD testing for me, and there are definitely some PD systems that can shoot down the cockatrice pretty reliably. Seemed like Painless was doing good when they get a chance to shoot them, and Erebus, surprisingly, like 2 Erebus will just eat
You just need
that cockatrice.
a single, or you just need a large amount of point defense that are not busy shooting at something else to prioritize the cactus.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
harder to do in combat, but
So
Also,
I'm gonna
flares.
put more question marks
Yep.
on that one. There we go. Well, I'll look into it carefully, but I think the way this is gonna be is if anything, very, very slight changes, but I'm leading to not. Starcore Invalid Edition. Clan LBX2, a little bit too weak. A little bit just right. Clan LBX5, a little bit too weak. A little bit too
Yeah,
strong.
all me. It's my gun. Found on the side of the road.
wait, what?
I believe these were grouped together for just because, whatever. I'm not too sure on that. We'll fix it up for next time. Evening
was
in
asked-
Twitch chat, Roham Adler.
What? Oh, crap. Also, I'd like to point out, I asked where those go, and I was told they go there.
It might have been a case of, haha,
I was clearly referring to the clan LBX, not the LBX.
yeah. Or either the
Yeah.
clan LBX or the clan LBX or not the clan LBX. No, don't worry, we'll fix that later. Metal Storm, still marked as too weak. I just don't see it whenever I test it. It seems just fine. Project Pluto, though, has some issues, one of which being that the sound is now playing consistently, as far as I could tell, but it was way too quiet. And had the interesting tendency of occasionally ramming into the target. That has to be fixed up. The Titan hangers and rails, well, they looked better than they have in the past, definitely. Some marked too strong, a lot of marked too weak, a lot marked just right. It's in there. The artificial sun launcher was interesting. I still think the projectile that shoots should be quite a bit more visible than it is. Right now it's like 8 white pixels flying across the screen with, 1,000 other bits of bullshit flying around. That could probably be improved. Moving on. Got the faulty socket rocket booster. 12 just rights, 1 too weak. I think they're just fine. Afterburners looking pretty great. Weakest one is the 1x1 on account of it being the weakest. Det packs marked for just right as well. I still want to go in and change them. I don't know if Invalid's already worked on this, but they leave their model behind, and it's pretty easy to make them not do that.
I don't trust the self-deletion. Sometimes the hitbox is still there even though the model dies.
That is interesting. If you have any comments on this specific weapon pack, let's hear them. So, WC Drone slams more visible difference between the rails, possibly Banshees. Yep. Possible health bump. It's possible. What you forgot to mention here is they dumb face into targets sometimes, which is not how they're supposed to work.
The one
you call 'em
from
slam?
was
What?
a very good hotfix for it.
Yeah, so we'll continue tweaking and tuning that. They're called the Slam. Because don't worry about it. Tight end rails offset the launching point a little bit. When stacked, they like they were on the Admiral Horus. Sometimes they just freak out and die, removing ammo. Either my skill show just needs to keep in mind in the future. We'll look into it. As much as I love the performance as well. Pass-through version, they won't likely see use. Yeah, the pass-through was a bit of a irritating one to deal with, because if you go over a certain block size volumetrically in Space Engineers, just doing anything to that block or the blocks around it will just lock the server for a couple frames, and then you keep going, and it's not great.
Dude, mount points, Lamau.
Lol. Maybe give us a tiny rail size similar to the Pluto rail for, say, a max of 5 drones with 1 in the air at any time or something. That is an idea. Like the single-use fighters that the British had on their convoy ship sometimes. I think it was like a Hurricane or something.
Yeah,
Maybe
I mean-
remove the fighters doing PD stuff.
I did not know that was toggleable, so ignore that comment on it.
There you go. You can remove it yourself. The rails also like to target the last WC locked target not active. Unsure if this is visual or not, neither am I.
They do not have follow focus target. They go out, shoot thing, and come back. Well, they should.
Yep. So ideally, whatever you have targeted, when they leave your rail, that's what they'll go for. If that's not the case, that's a problem. But it was pretty good to see that they weren't overwhelmingly oppressive, even if they were in some cases a bit ball busting. Slams probably need some touches, I agree. And here we go. The drones cannot reproduce, that way I've limited number them. Be sure to feed them directly into the enemy's mouth for maximum emotional damage. Hey guys, see that? Yeah, the ramming into the target thing, I have a solution for, but I'm going to need to tweak and tune a little bit. The essential point here is they have a fixed amount of acceleration, and they're trying to fly in a circle around the target, but if the target is moving at a given speed, which is very fast, and then they try to go around the long side of it for that orbit, their acceleration is not sufficient to outpace both the ship they're following and not, you know, ram into the target as they fly around it. So there's a couple
another
solutions.
layer to that, but that's one cause.
Nothing wrong with me. 2. Don't really know what the sun does beyond the gravity thing, but it certainly looks impressive. Making that more clear would probably be a good idea. Personally, I think I'd be satisfied if the projectile that comes out of the barrel was more visible. So it was, rather than, oh, you hear the funny noise and then there's the big particle effect, there it goes. You know, I could actually visually track it. Not really sure about the sun launcher. Didn't stand out as a very effective gun, or at all, really. LVXs did a ton of damage, as Truck Gnome, Jet, and Happy Farmer can attest to. Haven't tested them personally, so unsure how effective they really are. Really, they do lots of damage to blocks. I really seen much of an issue on the other guns. They're decent. Everyone else seems to enjoy them. That's what I like to see. Could honestly not tell what kind of effect the sun has on gameplay, but it did not break anything at least, or last. Yeah. Unironically, cannot reproduce. The timeline split when observed by more than 2 or 3 players. Yeah, that's kind of the problem with Flipcore drones, why we haven't just really gone for full bore into it. Is
Don't worry. In the future, maybe we'll have a solution.
Yep.
To quantum networking or something.
Slam only works in 180-degree arc. Wonder how it can be made 360. I think that's a feature. Buff the sun. How dare you clanners label the glorious snub-nose ultralight naval large bore 5x cannon as a clanner weapon? Filthy clanners, hate me clanners, stupid makeup wearing football players, hate mail brought to you by the Periphery gang. The Periphery, you may have lost all that you hold dear, but at least we aren't the Innersphere.
Hey, man.
In the deep Periphery.
I wrote down what y'all taught me.
Well, anyway, we'll fix that later. Special questions and wrap-up. Test tournament start time, so we put this to a pie chart vote. Got 2000 UTC, 1600 EDT. I don't know what this translates into not fucking stupid time units, but seems the majority of people wanted 1900 UTC. It seems that's what we'll go with. Reduce the thruster count. So this one was more of a, I'm sticking the dipstick in and see what comes out. So we got leave them alone from 5, buff the current thrusters for 1. 2 people want tiered thrusters. 6 people wanted upgradable thrusters, and 2 people said I don't care. So I'm gonna roll in I don't care with leave them alone. Now, unfortunately, I don't really have this option. As to squeeze more performance out of where we are right now, the easiest solution is gonna be to mute myself and cough for a sec. Hang up. Talking in a straight line for a long time is hard. Oh yeah, I do have water. The issue is things that do stuff. If you have 100 things that do stuff on 4 ships on either side, that is 800 things that are doing stuff at all times that you need to know about at all times because you're in sync range. The lower that number is, the better experience everyone has. Even if your experience was flawless, wouldn't you be rather fighting pilots that could actually fight back? That's the theory. Anyway, so the options on the table are buff the current thrusters in the sense of, you know, double all the stats and then double the costs. So the same effectively, but with less of them. Tiered thrusters, which would add options for how much more thrust you want, but the thruster cost would, you know, go up in comparison, and it would also require that any existing ships would have their thrusters removed and reworked, which is not the greatest.
So for tiered thrusters, would you just leave the existing thrusters as is, and then there's this new branch of how you can take upgradable thrusters as well?
I could, but the general theory seems to be people are terrified of losing thrusters and just want to spam down as many as they possibly can for my redundancy. And that's fine if they weren't a performance problem when you had hundreds of them.
Mm.
So it puts me into a very
Um,
awkward position with that.
Is
I
the
understand.
performance cost the particle?
No, it's the, well, it's a lot of things, but it's not just the particle. The particle
It's what you
is
want.
involved with it, but it's a lot of things. It's not even just RCS either.
What you want.
As you might have noticed, you might not have noticed, I have overhauled the RCS mod. It is now multi-threaded, has error handling on every single function, and it is now almost impossible for it to crash in theory. And is running much better now. Hope so. And I believe you can also bring no gyros and still turn, but don't do that as you'll go red. Where before you needed to use gyros for it to hook into the code, ask the gyro what it thought about what the mouse was doing on your cockpit, and then feed that to the thruster control subsystem. Now the thruster control subsystem reads direct from the cockpit.
Yeah.
So the latency
Go ahead.
between you making a move and it happening should be shorter.
Go ahead, Wiseman and Nate.
Go ahead, Nate.
So what sounds like what you want is a new addition to the real fake mod where you had the real fake small ion thruster. 3 battle
That's,
points.
No.
that's one way of putting it, but not really what I was going for. The
Okay, fair enough.
the reason I put in buff current thrusters is all this would require me to do is just extend the current script that exists of if you were a thruster, multiply your force by 3.5 times. And then I put down on the bottom, multiply your durability by, some amount. So I'd instead multiply it by like 7 or something on the thruster strength. Leave the flame length alone or even shorten it to improve performance a bit. Stuff like that. Now,
Climb.
So
Quick question.
Stop.
Can you change the update rate of the power system?
No. Some people have tried. It involves things breaking very quickly. I think, stuff like welders break almost immediately. And
If you make it take no power, does it use less load? Like hydrogen?
that's an interesting thought.
It's
Welders
possible.
we don't care about.
Well, bars.
Wow.
It's technically a welder.
Yes.
Ah,
I would like to say something.
Go for
I vote reroll I don't care in with upgradable thrusters.
it.
If they don't care, I can roll that number in with the other one. Oh, look, we have a winner.
That is one way of putting it. So the upgradable thrusters are interesting. More interesting than any other option. Personally, I like them more than the tier thrusters, as to me, the tier thrusters feels like a lazy kind of slap it on, but the upgradable thrust is actually pretty neat, where you put down a thruster, and you know how the original idea with the afterburners is that you had to put them on a thruster? Well, it's the same deal. You put an upgrade module on the thruster, hooks on, and then upgrades the amount of thrust, and there's multiple tiers of upgrades, which I think is more interesting, but I don't know if it'll work better, so that's why I'm going to test all of them.
Does it make it more durable though?
Yeah.
Go
You
ahead,
are
Wesley.
cowling the thruster. Go ahead, Wiseman.
well, I was thinking we have an opportunity to try something here, I guess, if we're gonna play around with some systems. So what if we went in completely different direction and we built some new thruster systems and went a little bit more with the Star Citizen idea where the thruster is very large. It's like the biggest integral component where you're actually building the ship around the thruster. And so that we would have a few different tiers of like primary thrusters that would basically give you all of your forward go. And you just build your ship around it.
So conceptually, a AWG, but different.
But monopole sized.
Maybe not so big, but somewhere around there.
Not quite. Yeah. Somewhere in between those two concepts.
That's fine, but please ensure backwards compatibility with the 80 AI grids I have.
It's gonna be a lot of thrusters to replace if the models get updated.
Yeah, so that's
what
my
if
primary concern
somebody
and my
has-
primary argument for buffing the existing thrusters and then just doubling their cost.
Yeah, I
Twice
think,
as powerful, twice the cost, twice the durability, twice everything else.
yeah,
So-
that.
That makes sense. Yeah, the issue we're trying to resolve is that thrusters cause bad performance, but people are having more thrusters for redundancy, right?
Yeah.
So, what if you did your double better thruster thing, Jig, but also added a thruster type decoy thing that people can have placed out 5 for free, as a hey, you don't need so many thrusters. Here's some decoys.
Like a decoy?
Like a decoy?
Yeah, but people aren't going to take a decoy because it costs 5. Well, it costs battle points.
You
What if
already
you had
have a
So do
throw away?
thrusters.
But what if you had a big central primary thruster that was very healthy?
But what if
Because
my
we
enemy
have
has 3
We
Ares?
have Novas, we have Tempest, we have Hunters, we have.
Yeah, Cocytus, the entire list of things. The AWG, I'm gonna come out and say it. I never liked it. I think it's hideous. I think it's fucking not great. I'm gonna say it right now. Why? Well,
Bro.
look at it. Fucking look at it. That's all I really needed to say about it. And it's an old model. It's an old mod. And I think there is an opportunity here to maybe swap out the AWG for what Wiseman's talking about.
Expanse.
I would take that because I often just use AWGs forward and backwards.
Yeah,
I
we
would
don't
like
even
a
need to
bit-
remove the AWG. We can just add another option that's like the AWG. The AWG Plus, call it whatever you like.
Yeah.
And it's not like the idea is not. I can think of several different directions to take it for balance and retaining everybody's creativity and making it realistically compatible with existing grids. So
Yeah. So that is the order of things. The easiest for everybody is going to be me just taking the current thrusters and merging them together. Just like take 2 thrusters. There you go. So it weighs twice as much, twice as healthy, twice as resistant, twice as everything, twice the cost. And you can just cut the amount of thrusters on your ship in half. Or
I have
take the double thrust.
I have
So
some,
we all get the super soldier serum.
What?
The super soldier serum, like from Captain America, like just buff it up.
Oh. Yeah, that. Sure. Why not?
all right. I have some stupid questions.
Yeah, go for it.
All right. The first is there any way to make a thruster that can thrust in multiple directions, like has like a forward and a reverse thrust nozzle?
Will I fill that?
I know you can have multiple damage cones because Aaron's thrusters do that.
I
And I
think
think I know what you mean, where you have it facing forward and backwards in the middle of your ship.
My other stupid question is, what would be the result of trying to build the giant main thrusters through the weapon core system instead of as a thruster?
Catastrophica, it would be very difficult to. What the fuck? I'm sorry, my my router fan just decided to start pissing on my floor. I'll be right back.
Oh boy.
All right.
Uh-oh.
So
I warned you about the lithium grease, bro.
I know there is the plane propellers. Those do both forward and backwards. Something like those, but an
Okay, so
actual
yeah.
block.
It
Do
is
they?
possible then.
Do
Gotcha.
they actually?
Yeah, they
No.
do forward and backwards.
Okay.
I've just
Well, they do
Well,
with
sometimes.
Digi's thrust reverser mod, which is but not they don't do it natively, but they do it with another mod attached to it. Yes.
Did you
So you
thrust
theoretically
reverser
rip
mod?
those and then apply those.
Well, we have something to go look at.
Yeah, we have a
We can
working
look at the
example.
code.
One of my
Okay.
theories
Yeah.
is going to be to have something a bit like the afterburner, where it could only be mounted on the front of a thruster or this new main sail thruster, whatever you want to call it. And all it is just a thruster without a damage cone, and it can only work if it's attached to the big boy. So it would just be thrusting backwards instead of forwards. There you go.
we'll be able to play test it later, I guess.
Yep. So we have a whole bunch of options here to work through, and I got a little dipstick of what the opinion is. I'm going to try to keep everything as non-invasive as possible first, and if that doesn't work, we'll explore the other stuff. Okay. Upgradable thrusters match upgradable gyros. There's a possibility of upgradable reactors, then maybe consider those too. I believe Chet was looking into that. Would be nice seeing less thrusters existing, especially with thrust kills not being a thing now, although for upgradable thrust, I would say give them a reasonable amount of tankiness. Well, of course. The upgradable reactors, yes. So we'll get back to you on whether or not the upgradable reactors are a thing. Return to the old speed curve, raise the floor speed to 100 meters a second and ceiling to 550 so that 10 mil brawlers don't get fucking dunked on. Stop catering to Spartan just because he DMs you pretending that fair doesn't mean equal when it comes to speed. Redistribute the speed curve. Tiered tech up to 4x wherever feasible on a 1-1 basis in terms of performance output, repairability, weight, BP cost, and component HP within reason, barring outliers. I would consider that maybe need to retooled, lest suddenly we have invincible components that can never be killed because you compare them for 20% of tech and have 5 mil HP. That was a run-on sentence. The trade-off is that there are fewer subsystems that a person can target effectively, KO to grid. Try armoring your one main reactor against a cactus, you fucking scrub. It's called a decoy. Benefit is that we can more artfully agreeable builds, potentially smaller ships with fewer blocks, better performance, and maybe bitches. Who knows? Rant below. The above one wasn't a rant? Oh boy. Could smell the Fudlore
Skip
people.
the rant.
Oh,
Because nobody's making the argument.
I was gonna read it in your voice and everything.
I was expecting people to be like, well, this will throw off balance.
All right.
And nobody has made that argument, so I feel flummoxed.
Well, there you go. If you think that, that's
Yeah,
flummoxed.
Skipping
Next time we
their
won't
hint.
ignore
Got
you.
it.
moving on.
So sad.
8v8 was a pretty fun idea, but one of those things that gets old fast. Logistics quickly become an issue, and we end up getting weird performance issues, which kind of just don't exist in a 4v4. I'm working on it. As I have asked Kanata from... excuse me. I've asked Kanata from Keen's community team for a bunch of Space Engineers copies to use on, well, local machines so we can more effectively test high network load situations without needing to constantly ask people to hang it in the server as I restart it 18 times to fix one bug. Definitely was having fun, having a low stakes fun tourney though, and I think having off weeks like this is a good idea, especially to test out new weird shit. We should also feed Muzz more burritos. Yeah.
Stop. Hold on. Drink water.
Oh yeah. Drink water. It's good for you.
Bitch.
Scraw.
We just
Destructible.
turn that button on.
Button? What?
In Zox's Discord, you can spend what we call.
What the fuck?
Who did that?
Turnip.
Hmm.
All right, turn up.
This is
Get out.
what
Why
you
does that
wanted.
play a sound?
Money's well spent.
Who? All right, who's doing that? I'm gonna start kicking you.
Okay, that's Commander Chat now. Chat here gets spit over this.
What are they doing? What's going on?
So there's a soundboard feature where you can spam it.
Oh no.
This sounds like capitalism.
Yeah.
Can I disable this? So I
Yeah, you can right click on them and mute it.
Yeah, I would recommend.
Yeah, hang on. Where's my settings?
How do I mute?
I'm gonna fix this.
Uh-oh.
Yeah,
Careful, he's
so
gonna fix you guys.
I click mute Jane.
let's take a quick
I
break.
still hear it.
Oh lord.
Seriously, guys.
Seriously, how do I stop this?
I'm really glad the
Oh.
Discord keeps wasting my fucking time as I try to desperately
Fixed it.
keep the same level of functionality, and they just keep removing things that are nice, adding things that are a waste of time, and just pissing me off. Thank you, Discord, for
Okay.
wasting my time.
Got it.
Anyway, back on
Fixed it.
task. You removed the functionality from the server tips?
I can't remove it from the server, but I can turn it off in this channel.
Can you do it for all channels?
1984.
Did they pay for it? Is that why?
I hope they did.
Yeah. Yeah, it's literally a
Don't tell
Discord
me.
Nitro function.
No.
Enjoy your capitalism.
Yeah.
No, that was free.
I have removed it from the channel. Pray I don't remove anything else.
Well, you go ahead and remove it from the rest of the channels as we go through the rest of this.
Aw.
Working on it.
Thank you.
Clowns. Anyway.
Destructible objective or obstacles are always a thing I've enjoyed the idea of. Can't hide behind a large asteroid forever. The blocker shields are great if performance would allow it, potentially some block related ones or something. So we have tried this in the past, and unfortunately, big ol' stations, like just a 1 layer thick wall of standard blocks, you run a ship through it. What happens is not what you think. You will clip halfway through it and then get sawed in half, or something else equally ridiculous, or the server will just crash to a halt. It's relatively difficult to come up with a good block-based obstacle, but we are always looking into it.
The results are non-deterministic.
Yeah, put it that way, especially with the blocker plates, which were a good solution for a while when we were using the kinetic devastation, but unfortunately that, well, the ground has changed, and now collisions and damage and everything else is really nice and consistent, and is not if there's kinetic devastation, but you need kinetic devastation in order to get nice consistent damage against blocker plates, so I'm in a bit of a bind there. We'll think about it. The integrity of sovereign cockpits, am I right? Alright. Did not realize thruster spam was an issue. Changing them up will really affect the balance heavies, so do what you will and see how it turns out. That is the idea. Just don't forget the lessons learned from the AWG heavy ion was added. I was not actually there for that. But I will look into the history on that and see if I can learn anything. Kind of doubt it.
I was. The only issue was it had way too level point cost initially. Then,
Oh.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
now it's 15
basically.
battle points.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much it was in the case of when weapons couldn't hit things that are going faster than like 300. So suddenly you had this immediate epic thrust, which could stop anyone hitting anything that wasn't a laser beam. It was stupid.
Well, everything was a lot slower, like 400 meters per second, 700 meters per second, bullet speed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The concept of, yeah, let's take a naval shell, which historically travels about twice that speed, and slow it way down so you can really watch that pretty particle effect as it misses the target. What a good idea. Anyway, give Muzzled your money. This is a mugging. Get mugged, idiot. Please reply with your credit card number and the 3 digits on the back. Don't change thrusters this late, please. GT when? After the update. Also add more cap zone, be funny, and change the number to 4. It'll be more interesting than you think. Trust me, bro. 1 top, 1 bottom, 1 left, 1 right. Big asteroid in the center, big shields everywhere. So the big asteroid in the center, I'm going to have to say no, I'm sorry. As manually placed asteroids are some of the most cursed objects I've ever had the displeasure of working with. The naturally spawned asteroids that I was modifying were fine so long as it turned on rotate, but guess what turning on rotate does? It breaks other shit. So I'm in a bit of a bind on that, but I'm not against adding more cap zones and changing around the modes a bit, as I am in the middle of completely refactoring share track to be more consistent, less laggy, less prone to desyncs, and, well, make it so it doesn't crash you, because that was one of the major issues of this tournament. I had mute myself to cough. The auto track function, where if the start function is called and the timer is running and you get into a cockpit, whatever your cockpit you're in tracks, which is why every time Tumor became one with someone else and his cockpit was floating around, it would kill him twice. That's a problem that is solvable, where it could just be that it filters for grids that have at least, XYZ. But that functionality also has some unintended consequences, including, well, crashing some players and just spamming errors and shit that shouldn't be there for some players, and it turned it into an unplayable leggy mess for 1 or 2 players, and then the rest of the enemy team was fine, or maybe one ship, I think it was Persons maybe, like their ship just froze for no reason. Shit like that's unacceptable, and I need to fix that, and that's why I'm going through and refactoring the whole thing. I'm working on it. As for the don't change thrusters this late, please. So, on account of this, yeah, I don't like making massive sweeping changes late in the season, quote unquote, but it's not something I'm too concerned about because we're not in the middle of the GT when I need to make the change. And I'm not even sure if I need, capital N, need to make the change, but that's why I'm researching it. This isn't a case of this will happen, is I'm going to see if it needs to happen, see how well it can be implemented, see whatever else needs to occur. Consider stopping Real from spamming throwaway teams, as he is doing more harm to the perspective of getting more players to join Starcore. What do they mean by this? Fortunate that we have another bit of feedback right under this. Feedback for the feedback. What do they mean by this? I'm not really sure what they mean by this. If you have more information, feel free to send me a DM. I'd love to understand what that statement means. Moving on. Thank you for participating. If you have any further remarks for the teams, please feel free to convey them to us here. Once we get the new models for the Fletcher, could we consider a few of the guns from making their way to Starcore? This, that, and the other thing. Not this season. Probably next. But we'll work on them.
I'll add them immediately.
Who the fuck?
Tibbs, come on.
Okay, I was just testing it.
I want you to know that
amazing.
that played at maximum volume and my ears are now ringing. Thanks.
You just got hit by a cockatoo idiot.
Yup.
Okay,
All right, well, fucking,
it's off. All right.
that's the
Yeah.
$15 Patreon tier. You have to pay $15 to use that.
Fuck you. Anyway, moving on. See if we can get to the end of this. Feel bad for 60 because this tournament was a string of Grimlock critical hits, so I know the roots are going to be out in force demanding his blood. I noticed there's like this victim complex, but it's like a projected victim complex. I don't understand the requirement for this. You don't need to justify yourself when you say stuff. You can justify yourself after you say stuff, but you know, you don't need to go out in front of it and say, no, it's fine, don't worry. You know, you're talking to crickets. There's nothing there. Time to nerf them into the ground like y'all did with the sun launcher. Thank you for the feedback. It's very nice. Quite a good stream.
Yes,
Please fix roids. I'm working on it. For those of you mad about the Grims, we got a bit of a video here.
Oh boy.
God damn it. All right, and that's as much as we can play before YouTube shoots me in the back of the head. On thrusters, if aim is keep the current balance but reduce our thruster count, thruster weight should remain consistent. As much as it pains me to say, as a fast mover enthusiast, consistent. Well, that is the idea, to literally take two thrusters, fuse them together in all stats, including cost, and there you go. Ideally. Was a nice change up, I guess, but considering some people play on toasters and coordinating 8 people is a pain, I'm happy with the 4v4 from it. Yep. This was more or less just a test to see if we could, and network issues that were not seen before managed to rear their head, which is why I've asked Kanata to give me those extra keys so I can actually mass multiplayer test on my own. I won the tournament. I want Daddy Tibbs leaked news on my desk by the morning. Thanks. I've been left emotionally scarred by 314. Don't know if I'll ever be the same after this experience. Taking steps to attempt to heal my mental state through the use of ChatGPT therapy.
Wow.
Well, hopes and prayers in
Sorry,
chat.
Boomer.
Majority of my issues were personal rather than the gameplay. Nice job. Maybe you should ask the GPT to help you out with that. Need a decent looking shipyard station grid that isn't full of conveyors or laggy garbage for the light game mode. That is another good point. And it is unfortunate that the light game mode didn't work at the end of the tournament. There is one little detail that broke it completely. And it was fixed almost immediately after we closed the stream.
It's fine.
I don't like this rerunning of previous matchups. You can do the multi-limb, but it just gets boring after a certain point, IMO.
There it is.
I'll come up with a...
The Euro opinion.
I'll come up with another solution in the future. I've never liked the full tournament double eliminations. It's more or less just for pencil whipping and ease of use, but if we're only running one stream, that becomes a lot easier to manage anything that's slightly more complicated than just run the next match lemao. Because if one match runs long, one match runs short, suddenly one stream is just sitting there waiting for the other to finish, and it's not great. Unless I can come up with a better solution, which I think I have one, but I'll work on it. Nerf Fendroth, working on it. Thought it was single limb, then I was the impression that I got last week. Tournament seemed to drag on too far, especially at the end. Not sure, but the double elimination seems to make the end drag on forever. Maybe a modified double elimination, maybe Swiss, maybe modified double elimination. That's where we're going to go. I would use Swiss if it was much easier to manage in the long run and did not require full knowledge of how the Swiss system works to properly manage it. And the concept of, when's my next fight? I don't fucking know. I'm sorry. I can't tell you. That's how Swiss works. That's the problem. Also, turns out the WC radar can handle about 6-7 grids flying around the middle of the arena and about 10 to 11 grids flying around the outside arena. Adding an 8th or 12th to that situation just seems to get tank sim speed. That is... Yeah, do trust me. I do not believe the WC radar is the cause of any lag or anything, but just as an abundance of caution, I removed it. Where can I submit BPs for the next 40v40 testing range fight? Into Invalid's DMs. Got a few that I want to be on camera. Winky face. So
Oops,
that
on you already have them.
I have mailed, DM'd all the tournaments from all the tournaments? I'm losing it, man. I'm losing it. All the blueprints from the last tournament I've already DM'd Invalid for integration into the AI testing range, which will be made more performant in some cases, maybe. Who knows? How is sim speed for the AI battle better than the first couple of 8v8 battles? So this is the problem with networking.
8.
I know why this... yeah. So we can have 40v40, so 80 ships total, but we're only sending that to one player. If we have to send the state of every other player to every player, that means the server takes a bit of a load, but also every individual player needs to support the load of every other individual player at the same time, and it scales, what, quadratically? In terms of performance, and I don't think it needs to, which is why I'm going to dig into it and figure out what the actual cause is. And I've figured out the actual cause for a few things, such as, bro, you can't use hydrogen in multiplayer. Yeah, you can. You just need to make it not use hydrogen. Same kind of thing. Let's see. Can we do the announcement for the Patreon stuff here?
Sorry, one more thing. Can you add to the thruster suggestion? See if you get less lag with no power cost.
Oh, that's a good idea.
There is one other suggestion that needs to be made.
Go for it.
Never hand her off.
That's for a 2x1 camera.
2x1 camera?
And I'm not even asking for myself. I'm asking for a friend.
Asking for a friend?
I mean, I think it's a good
Do
idea.
they go to another school?
Asking for
They
a
go to a
friend.
school across the ocean. You wouldn't know them.
Yeah. There is a pretty good chance I know them, but
Based.
honestly, I don't think it's a terrible idea. So, why
Just
not?
need to find somebody to make it.
Yep. I will slide into Chet's DMs and figure that one out. It's probably just going to be an extension of the budget
Janik.
blocks.
Janik unironically made one already.
Oh, is he already?
No.
Okay. Well, just cram that way up in there, buddy, and we'll get that integrated.
What
no
we
problem.
actually need is the 2x1 Buster camera. It's just the vanilla one at the moment.
Yeah, that would also be cool.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, there we go. Multiple options. Perfect.
Wide.
No,
Yeah,
let's
so we
see,
get
Paul,
the
after camera.
wide camera here.
Okay.
Anyway,
3x1.
let's actually get back on track here for the main announcement.
Buy my mixtape.
No, by Muzzle's mixtape, not his.
So, the cost of living has been about the same this entire time, but I have some pretty major financial problems coming up that I'm going to need to resolve. And if I go at the current rate, Starcore will need to stop in about 119 days. So, we came up with some solutions, one of which was I get a part-time job at the zoo as a money counter, which I've already applied for. The other one is to actually make it worth your while to donate to the Patreon. And one of the ideas that we were thinking of was just general benefits. Does that actually show that here?
Look at membership.
Click on membership.
Yeah. I'm really good at
Middle of
this.
the page.
Yeah, there we go. So, got some options in blinding white mode. Jesus. Can I get Dark Reader on here? Yeah, we can. All right. So, got some options. Got thruster stick. You get some stuff here. And one of the ideas that we have is to add textures on request from those that support us on Patreon. And you get access to the special Discord channel. You know, just why not? Next one up from that, Brick, $5 a month. Discord role, LCD texture, and an in-game billboard, space billboard, as an advertisement, floating in space. Now, there's a few ways of doing this, one of which is to just make a funny LCD with a long range, but I'm kind of leaning more towards a textured billboard, quote-unquote, like billboard in the sense of the Space Engineers game engine, a little bit like how the outer boundary is. That's billboards, making that up. Your HUD, that's billboards, so we can have an image floating in space as a billboard. You know, want to advertise your team floating in space, you can do that. You got the wedge brick with gun. Get the whole load, including a private server here team. This will be run on the same server as the main servers and taken down during tournaments just to save on load. But if you want your own little private practice space that's identical in every way to every other server, you can do that as well. Including some other things. And of course, the last option is my power and internet bill. Currently taken up by Tips. Thanks, Tips.
You're welcome.
That's an option.
Yeah.
What's your grocery bill? I'll add that to your too.
Grocery bill is kind of dependent on how austere I'm willing to be, but
Yeah,
bare
shout out to
minimum.
Tibbs for being financing Starcore for like a large, basically.
Yeah, Tibbs has been keeping me afloat on minimum credit card payments this entire time, and if he was not here and doing that, then Starcore would have stopped a long time ago. That shit ain't sustainable, buddy. Unless I have people like Tibbs. So, if viewers like you would like to support the show, get some benefits out of it, there you go. Sign up to the Starcore Patreon. We are taking suggestions for what we can and can't do. Let me know what you think.
Can we do
What?
like a custom amount, like $25 or something?
Yes, you can
Yes,
edit your
sir.
pledge. Just donate at the $15 pledge, and then just go from there if you want.
Tibbs, you're talking in your sleep.
Is he?
No, I'm not.
Was that Darth having like a honk in the background?
What?
No, that was dark. There was a mumble in
Yeah.
the background.
It sounded like someone was blowing a vuvuzela.
Sleep
I didn't
apnea.
do it that time.
Is there a non-Patreon donation link? Yes, there is. If you click on me and you look at my profile, you will notice that there is a bio.
Is it a Fansly?
It is just a direct donation link to PayPal if you would prefer that.
Oh.
This also funds the development of RAM.
Yeah, Ramshackle, my other game, which my co-developer of many years has also been working on. It's build your own tank game out of plates, and it's pretty in depth. If you're interested, let me know and I'll send you a link. Always in development and free for now. Probably going to be free for the foreseeable future as well.
If there only was a billboard in Space Engineers, an advertisement for REM.
Oh shit.
That's the plan. So we're gonna corporatize a little bit, gonna chill out and cash in. But this is all for the
Get your
purpose
other
of continuing
developer-
Starcore.
Get your other developer on the $15 Patreon level.
Yeah, this is all for you. So I'm also working on the network situation, which has been a problem for me for a long time, where I'm using one internet company to give me the speed, and I'm using another internet company to be able to port forward. And I'm using a twinned dual WAN connection, and it is stupid. And some people, such as Zero, might experience some undesirable behavior for no discernible reason at random times for whatever, right? That's not acceptable. So I've got on the phone with Telus, which is the other telecoms company that actually provides real fiber, 1,000 up down. And I'm going to get the builder contract signed on Friday from the landlord, and we'll get that installed probably within the next 2 to 3 weeks. And that should be fine by GT3 for sure. It'll also save me money because I don't need to spend money on fucking Shaw. Ha! That's the $120 a month.
Yeah, it's about mine.
Oh,
The announcement for automatons has happened, right?
Yep.
Tomorrow,
Yep.
I think.
Yeah.
we're all sitting, waiting for the fireworks.
Yeah, I'm kind of holding off on recommending anybody do some testing until then. Like, after the update comes out, yeah, of course, do all the testing you can. But any testing you do now might not be representative of the final, what happens after the updates. Take a break, take it easy, do some building, leave some feedback, subscribe to the Patreon. Do anything else, but do testing that you're going to count on for at least until after the update. Because I'm almost certain things are going to break. And stuff like recallable thrusters have already been fixed, which is nice.
According to Climb, the only guaranteed fucky wucky is apparently defense shields.
Great.
Muzzle hate
like
shields
one of
anyway, so.
our core.
Yeah, it's
of
only the
equipment.
basis of the fucking game. It's fine. Well,
sure Dark will fix it.
window.
I mean, it's probably
right,
a thing
Keith.
where like he has a patch to push instantly because
Yep.
stuff's different.
yeah, Stanquank has been on top of that pretty good so far, so we shouldn't have any issues. So aside from that, do we have anything else from the Starcore team?
Yeah. Can I ask regarding the tridents?
You can
It's
ask.
a $5 Patreon tier, sir.
Sure, why not?
Yeah,
Go
give
for
it.
it.
Need to have a gun buffed for 1 week.
Let's go for it. Preston, what's about the tridents? You have the floor.
Well, the tridents were indirectly got a nerf when all the grids suddenly go up 50 meters per second minimum speed.
What?
They looked like they did damage just fine to me. I didn't notice any big problems out of it.
It's not a direct nerf per se because the 50 meters per second, while not that obvious to a few, it's very obvious in the sense that they get away from the tridents slightly long enough for more point defense to just shoot them down.
So you're saying you can kite him forever now, when previously you had a time limit?
Previously, you can still kite them, but you don't kite them as long, so more trident missiles actually land on target. Whereas now, there's a good chance that if the grid has a decent amount of PD, none of your tridents are getting through, which defeats the point of a trident in the first place.
So all those ships that I saw getting ripped apart by tridents didn't actually do any damage from tridents at all?
You do know that requires an absurd amount of tridents just
I know
to
it
get
requires
that,
you
right?
actually engage with the enemy instead of having a smart targeting weapon that hits every time. That's what I do know. Reloading, quick firing, always tracking, does pretty good damage. You don't need to think about it or even line it up or time it at all. It's just constant overtime damage you're going to get through eventually.
I think there's a better argument for grid speed between the different masses than grid speed to existing torpedo velocities.
Anyway, I'm going to take 25 battle points off the trident. There you go.
Neat.
No.
Yeah,
Sure.
fair's fair, right?
Is it fair enough?
Hurricane to 350. Thank you, chat.
I may have missed this part of the conversation,
Go for it.
but what is the official solution that we're going to be going forward with the Grimstop?
I'm going to look into multiple solutions, one of which is going to be using the Phantom system, which had a bunch of fanfare at the start and then kind of slid off, but it is functional. And pretty much what it does is instead of having an explosive payload, it has a script payload that is written in and included with the mod. And in this case, what I would do is much like the blink drive, for example, I just modify your velocity to 0 for a bit, and then that's it. If that does not work, what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off your thrusters, turn off your gyros, and give you a slight impulse, just bump, and that'll have the same effect.
Okay. Interesting.
Yep, some nice, easy solutions just to keep the idea of, yeah, you hang out right there for a bit. That's the intent. Not let's turn your local area into a blender. That was not the intent.
Okay. I mean, my personal solution was to shrink the AoE area, but if those get the same effect, I mean, I'm all happy for it.
If we're talking unfounded gun buffs, can I get the windup removed or load from vanilla rails? You don't know what unfounded means, it seems. If ships get faster and the slower missile can't catch them, that is a founded buff.
Wait, actually, there might actually be something with the Trident there. Maybe as the fast ship is circling around you, all the Tridents group up and hit at the same time.
Yeah, that is one way. If you're a fast ship getting close to somebody firing missiles at you, what happens is between you and God, not me.
Yeah, we'll see. On the vanilla rail, that's kind of integral to the... I mean, it's really cool. I know it's shit, but it's really cool.
Yeah.
That's the reason why it has it. Yep.
Well, weapons can't do everything.
Also, if it didn't have it, then I guess I'll just retire the vanilla rail because there's already the Somnus.
Yeah.
Bro.
Well, there's that.
Basically the thing that's different.
But also consider something differently is that it might actually be helping you aim, where if it fires instantly on clicky and your client and the server aren't really agreeing on where you're pointing on that particular frame, well, maybe it does help if it has a bit of windup. Maybe it doesn't. Don't know yet. I'm going to be doing a lot of network testing to find out, though.
I know. Do you want me to spoil that for you?
No, I don't want you to spoil that for me, Andrew. I wanted to be surprised. I'm getting excited, okay? I'm going to be able to test networking.
Hey.
Don't ruin this for me! Yeah, we're working on it. There's a lot of problems I'm aware of that have to do with performance when doing 8v8s, and I am not going to increase the limits on anything. Ideally, the limits go down, not up, because we were in a pretty good spot with the 4v4s, but there's still some outliers that only manifest when we're stressed out, or we're stressing out the server, so I'm going to keep going back and forth with that, figure it out, and dial this back. So we're going to go to 100% performance, best we can, and then pull the limits back 50%. So we're never going to see the bad lag. That's the idea. You know, consistency is king. Anything else?
Did you see what chat put about the hurricane?
Yeah, I've already marked it down.
Neat.
I even spelled it wrong.
Nice.
Yeah, are
Respect.
Patreons public or like?
I don't think they are. I think it just tells the member.
What's
Or tells
reason
the owner.
why we'd be doing it then?
No, I mean like.
Bragging rights.
Can
someone
you
click
see who is
Yeah.
on the Patreon? No, I don't think you can.
Yeah. Okay.
Not on Patreon, no. In here, you'll get a role. So.
That's just fine because I have my real name tied to my account. And I
Oh yeah, in
feel
that case,
like-
no.
Oh, you
That's...
can change that now.
Oh no,
Oh my
yeah,
God.
no, not there. The only one that might know something would be.
Yeah, no. If Patreon forced you to show off your real name to everybody, no, I wouldn't even fucking suggest
Yeah,
that
no.
that
Okay,
exists.
the
That's
Patreon
stupid.
would still be around.
Yeah,
It's
no.
fine. I haven't
You don't need to
it's
have
fine.
your
I
own
just
name.
want to know what I'm getting into. That's all.
Since
Yep.
blink
far as
rubber
I know.
bending is fixed now, can we get more than one?
Hmm.
No.
It does ameliorate some of the concerns,
It
but
does fix most of the issues.
we're getting into a happy spot. I don't want to fuck it up too badly. So once we do the thruster thing, or do not do the thruster thing, make a fucking decision on the thruster thing after the update. I'll look into it and see about it. Ask me that.
If press
Alright.
on it was a solid maybe, I would take it honestly.
Ah.
Alright, Enderoth. One
I have
is
an
a
idea.
buried gun under armor.
Under
One,
Patreon tier.
one is a gun sitting on the surface. What do you want, Enderoth?
Wait.
What?
Who is burying
you are burying
Hydras?
Hydras. Everybody.
No, if it's
Have
just
you
for
seen
resistance
Spartan's
buff.
grid?
I'll look into it.
Enderoth.
Sorry, Turnip.
They're stronger than the turrets already. Why do you want more?
What were you about to say, Turnip?
Yeah, what's up? Were you gonna say anything or no?
No.
Okay.
Sorry.
All good. No, that's fine. Now, is there anything else?
Yes. When do I get my role
Mm.
for being a patron?
Please
Should
don't
be
kill
instant.
me.
Oh, you might have to
Your
link your.
model on Thursday.
Did you link your Discord to your Patreon?
Probably not.
Hey guys, did you know you can link your Discord to your Patreon account?
Yeah.
I just thrown that out.
Yeah.
No, we got to do that too.
To get
Yeah.
the Discord benefits, but if you just want the benefits listed and you want nothing to do with the Discord thing, send me a message. We can figure it out. It's for your benefit, not mine. So it's fine.
I mean, I could manually assign the role.
Yeah, it's all good. We'll figure it out, no problem.
Yeah.
Custom figurehead blocks for a Patreon reward, just an idea. I believe that was on the cards. Let me actually read over what the membership say.
Custom, you get a flag.
In-game billboards, special flag blocks. What's the figurehead if not a special flag?
I mean, you already have the option of having your own billboard and LCD. That's not.
What I mean is, the effective difference between a special flag and a figurehead is, well, not that much aside from making a model instead of just a flat texture.
We're not Dreadnought, Spartan. I don't even know what that is. But if you want to pay the low price of $20 a month,
well,
then we'll add a figurehead.
We could have a figurehead or a custom model or custom greeble roll. That's possible.
So,
Like a Six Flag or something.
funny story about the charity Spartan ship as the background for the Patreon. I think to myself, what is the WoW ship of Starcore?
There is
Yeah.
nothing
Look at
more
all those
iconic.
guns. Wow.
Look at it. It's so brick. It's beautiful.
I mean,
Yeah, this is
you're
like the
flying-
new Charby too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is the pinnacle classic Starcore ship. How long has the Charby been around? Since like damn near the beginning, right?
Honestly, you should have put one of MTV's Star Trek ships so he could be sued by Paramount Pictures.
There
So
is
is-
no finer target in all of the testing world of Starcore.
I don't know
Yeah.
how many.
That is true.
It is
Sorry,
basically like an armor wall already, but it has parts in it, so it's perfect.
I mean, literally, the list of people who don't have a Charby as their target block is pretty small.
Only,
Yeah.
only a small difference in testing data between a solid brick of heavy armor and
Anyway, so as far as figureheads go, if we added another tier to have a custom figurehead model, I don't see any reason why this would be impossible. I've been planning on learning how to use Blender for a long time, so maybe I'll do it.
Wow, you said that with such pain.
I'm being optimistic. What's probably going to end up happening is I'm going to need to professionally request some of these models or convert them properly one-to-one. That kind of stuff, but not off the cards. We'll look into it.
I gather Chet's looking for work, so he'll probably take you up on it.
By the way, upgradable reactors could just be straight tossed in for testing at the moment. Works on small reactors only. All right, feed that mod into my DMs and I'll slap it in and see what happens.
Reactor?
Reactor upgrades.
all this pushback against fucking thrusters, and you guys want to upgrade reactors.
No,
I'm
no,
all
no,
here.
no.
I'm 100% here for it.
Whoa.
I'm 100% here for it.
It's entirely for
He's also
testing the
fine with it.
concept, just to see if there's any problems and to see if it's worth.
What do you mean that's not the Charby? Invalid.
It's a skill here.
I mean, Spartan's
Yeah,
here,
it's a
you
skill
can
here.
ask him.
Lamau. The Charby is the most and ship of Starcore to the point where other ships are being mistaken for it, kind of like how like butterflies will have
It
that.
made the Charby. It made the Charby 2.0. Called it
It's
something
a
different.
flying
We all...
commie block. I mean, come on.
All right, Spart, send me your best bull shot of the ship, preferably the shields off, and then I'll put it on.
Yeah, there you go.
Make sure to go to 40 FPS.
Right now.
Yeah.
For the upgradable reactors, I still have all the models that Jadic went and made for me for the modular blaster system. That
Yep.
still needs config file. So if we need blocks, I'm willing to donate the cap charge blocks that's already been made and paid for and everything for the upgradable reactors.
That's good.
Well, let's hold. Yes, however, I would like to hold off on entertaining the idea of an upgradable reactor till after we figure out what we're doing with the thruster.
Oh yeah, no, keep this in mind. This is I'm only gonna put it on the surface to see if it breaks anything, and then it's coming right back off until it's done.
Okay. Just figured there was already pre-made blocks
Yeah.
for a similar purpose that I'm willing to donate.
Yep.
should the need
No, I'm on
arise.
board.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't hate free stuff.
Free.
Well, I mean, of course, I'd rather have the capture system, but upgradable reactors are probably closer to reality.
So
Yeah.
that cap charge idea, the closest you'll get is a battery that explodes after like 30 seconds when you turn it on.
Oh, so like a warhead.
That is the
battery.
technical limit of Keen's power system.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
I don't think it is actually. I just had an idea. Get back to me on that later.
Picture.
See if I remember.
Okay.
I like
I'll
the
put the
picture
emulator
turn
on
up
it.
posted.
Let's see.
Oh yeah.
A far more accurate description. Historical,
Yes.
even.
Our new Patreon background.
Pretty good. We'll work on it though. Anyway,
Yeah.
I thank everybody for even considering the idea of the Patreon, because oh boy, I was a little worried that there was going to be some, hey, that sucks. But like I said, this is all for turning back into Starcore.
That's right.
Yep.
And
How
yeah,
dare
if
you spend a full-time amount on this?
Yeah, considering the amount of time you waste on this shit every week.
I want food. I want money so I can pay for food.
Oh, don't worry, you won't eat it anyway.
Oh, it's not for
Just
me.
to
It's
sit
for
there.
keeping my girlfriend alive.
Oh, okay, fair.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's an honorable cause.
You know, I have good taste. The thighs, they need to be this big. All right.
Yeah.
Not a fucking casual. I'm willing
Video
to
games?
burn it all down. Anyway, before I get banned off of something, let's
You're still streaming?
yeah.
Yeah, we're still streaming.
Oh, no.
Just chatting.
It's time to shut it down. Thank you all for
Yep.
coming. This was actually a pretty good balance cancel.